Hey guys, welcome to Brutes Magoots, where today I'm going to be doing a bunch of upgrades to this Jackson USA KV2 pile of skulls. This was painted by Dan Lawrence. I've had it in my collection for a long time, but I figured it was time to give it some love, refrets and all that other stuff. But in this video, I am going to be trying out the StewMac ColorTone polishing compounds. We have medium and fine and swirl removal. And then we also have their little buffing pads. So this body has lots of light scuffs and stuff on there through the years. So we're going to strip everything off of it and test out and see how well their polishing compound really works. So let's dive right on in. All right, so the guitar is all stripped down. I just wiped it down real quick so I could see exactly what I'm looking at. But you see all these light scratches in here. There's some gouges right there. There's just a bunch of stuff kind of all over this thing. So I'm going to try and clean up what I can. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some paint and fill in those gouges. And I think there's like a gouge on the front too. Let's see here, somewhere, like over here. It's kind of hard to see, but there's one right over there. The front of this thing doesn't look terrible, honestly, but I'm curious to see if that stuff buffs out or not, like how well this StewMac stuff does. And I do have like some scratches and stuff here. That's not going to come out because that's pressed into the wood from the truss rod cover, but I don't know. We'll see what all I can clean up from this thing. All right, guys, so I didn't have a whole lot of luck removing the deep scratches. So what I'm going to do, I'm just diving right on in. So they recommend medium and then fine and then swirl removal, and then using different buffers for each one, keeping those separated. So when I'm done, I'll bag the matching pair together. But I'm just going to dive right on in here and see how it goes. Wish me luck. All right, so here's the end result of all three. And obviously you can still see that there's scratches on there. So I think like all three together is like a light swirl remover, but I mean, you really have to do like some wet sanding to get out stuff like that. Now it does help get rid of the scratches so they're not so visible if I do like that, and it does put like a mirror polish on there, so that's a plus. But other than that, like it's not very aggressive. It's pretty mild. But again, like it does put like a mirror polish on. So I don't think it works as good as what they say it does. You definitely need to do some wet sanding in areas if you have any significant gouges. But overall, I mean, it does make it look really, really pretty. All right, so with everything stripped down, as you can see, like this is just filled with polishing compound and all kinds of other crap. And you didn't see it with the rings and the pickups, but since this is going to be direct mount, these cavities are going to be exposed. So I'm going to clean up all of the polishing compound and then remove the chunks of wood that are in there, and then paint everything on the inside gloss black to make it look a lot better. And back here on the back, kind of just touch up the back of this guy a little bit. It doesn't need too much, but it just needs a little bit of love. And then in the electronics cavity, we're going to go and line that with copper tape. All right, so I decided to do the routing for the electronics in flat black. I think it's going to look better. It's kind of glossy in some places right now because it's still drying. I also did the little route for the truss rod adjustment. Back here, I was going to do foil in the electronics cavity, but I decided to use this stuff instead because it's easier. This works really, really good. It's called Super Shield, but it's toxic, but it works really good until it dries anyway. But that shields all that, and then I go above the rim here so I can make a good contact with this tube when it's all said and done. And I just back this with the foil, and then here's the back of this tube, which is still drying, but it's getting there. All right, so the last thing I need to do with the body before I start putting it all back together is I want to patch all these holes up on here. So I've got some model putty, and I'm going to fill the holes. And then I'm just going to try and color match, generally speaking, like what it is in the different places, which is going to be kind of hard because it's all airbrushed. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get a general closeness, so that way it's not like just black holes all over it. Wish me luck. All right, so I got the putty in there, and I'm going to let that sit up overnight, and then I'm going to try to color match close enough on the paint. So I used a UV resin to fill in all of the divots from the mounting plates. And I left it high so I could sand it down, and that's what I did. I wet sanded it. I love these little dudes. They work so well. And it goes from 320 to 12,000 to super extra fine. In fact, it already looks somewhat glossy. So I think I'm in a good spot to retry the ColorTone polishing stuff. So I'll just go through again the medium fine and the swirl and see if I can get that gloss back on there. You can kind of see where it's kind of matte in some places, everywhere the holes were. But I think it's looking good so far. It's been a pain in the butt and more work than I was planning on putting into it. But hopefully this thing is nice and glossy at the end. Now I didn't go back through on the back side of this and try to fill in the scrapes. This is a guitar that I'm going to play, so if it's scraped up on the back, I don't care. I just want to try to clean up the front and make that art pop as much as I possibly can. One note though is if you're doing stuff like this, there is a super fine line between going enough, sanding enough to make everything flat and level if you're like filling holes in, but not cutting in too deep into the clear coat that's already on the body. So there's a nice balance to be had there. It takes a bit of finesse, so be careful if you're doing something similar. All right, so the ColorTone polish worked perfect when using in that application. So if you have deep cuts, wet sanding down to a super fine grit, like 5,000 on up, and then using the medium fine and swirl remover. And you can see through here, I'm gonna try to get the the gloss in here, but you can see how shiny it is. So it worked perfect. And you know, the funny thing is that I was also able to get rid of, there was indents on the clear coat from the pickup rings, mounting rings, and those are gone now. So I'm pretty happy about that. And here is just a quick shot of the body after it's all done and polished. Here is the back side. Again, I didn't bother to get out the deep stuff in there. I should have, but I had so much stuff going on with this build that I just didn't want to take the time. So I'll do that in the future. And here is a look at the front with the hole patches and all that work that was done. Kind of come over here so we can kind of hopefully catch the sheen on it. Now I could take the time and get some of that out of there, but you can see a little ring around there, around the holes. But again, I had so much stuff going on with this thing that I just didn't want to go through that much trouble. But maybe in the future I will. But I mean, if you're looking dead nuts at it, it looks fantastic to me. All right, guys. So final thoughts on the StewMac body polishing kit. Overall, I would say it's definitely worth the money. The job that I got out of it, it did its thing. To me, the 3 polishers on their own are just for really, really light. Even the medium stuff is for really, really light scratches. Like nothing that you could like feel with your nail. Anything that you can feel with your nail, you're really gonna have to wet sand that down, or fill it, wet sand it to have like the best possible outcome. You're just not going to get those kind of scratches with the medium and the fine and then the swirl removal. But that aside, if you have just some light abrasions, it works really well. And once I wet sanded, I did the filling and stuff like that, and I wet sanded everything down. After using like the kit, it looks great. I'm really happy with it. So it does work. It did its thing. Just like all StewMac stuff. I mean, honestly, I have all my tools for guitar related stuff are all StewMac stuff, and I'm always happy with the quality. It's worth spending the extra money. Yeah, you can get it cheaper from Amazon or whatever, but to me, like, it's worth spending the extra money and having something that's going to last you forever. So that's all just personal preference. Do I wish I had taken time to get out some of the big guys in the back? Yeah, but I'm just gonna make more, So again, like, this is a guitar that I play all the time, so I was really just mainly focused on the face of it. So as always, feel free to ask me questions. I'll be happy to answer them, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.
I believe I have made a significant find in the Kandarian ruins, a volume of ancient Sumerian burial practices and funerary incantations. It is entitled Naturam Dimanto, roughly translated Book of the Dead. The book is bound in human flesh and inked in human blood.